Good evening, students. Could you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we shall move on to our lecture on practicals. So in our previous discussion, we had discussion about dyeing of polyester using dispersed dyes. I hope you have understood the experiment. I have shared my audios, video lectures of the practical experiments as well as the explanation of how the dyeing of polyester is carried out with dispersed dyes using the HTHP dyeing machine. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Before going into the next topic, I want to ensure that you have understood the first experiment well. Did you understand? Did all of you understand well about how the polyester is dyed using the dispersed dyes with the HTHP machine? Do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. You can feel free to talk with me. Don't hesitate. If you have any doubts, you are welcome to ask. You have any doubts?
Sir,
Yes, Isha, Indrapal.
sir, can we write our practicals in our journal book?
yes, you should. You can. Already I told.
Sir, but you wrote classmate practical notebook. I'm talking about journal pages.
Yeah, journal pages only I told. I was trying to see normally for other subjects how. That's what I am trying to say. What you are asking actually?
Should we write our practicals on journal pages?
Yes. Journal pages you write and then make it into PDF. Uh, all the experiments in journal pages and finally convert them into PDF and give it send it to me the soft copy. That would be fine.
Okay, sir.
Is it?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. Any other doubts from the practicals? If anyone have doubt about polyester dyeing, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can proceed to the next experiment. Okay. If you have doubt, you can ask at the end of the lecture. So previously, we have discussed about dyeing of polyester using dispersed dyes by using the HTHP machine, HTHP dyeing machine. Today, we are moving on to dyeing of polyester using dispersed dyes with carriers. Okay. So what is the difference here? So the difference in the process is the carriers, the use of the carriers. Okay, so you know very well about the polyester fiber. Polyester is a hydrophobic compact thermoplastic fiber. Okay. So it's hydrophobic means what? It does not like water. Okay, so that fiber is a little compact structure. So how to dye that polyester? There are a number of methods are there. One method is you can dye the polyester using dispersed dyes. That is the only dye available to dye the polyester. Then what are the methods used? One method is the common method which we discussed in the previous class. That is, if you recall, dyeing at boil without carrier. Okay, without using the carrier, you just apply the dye and other auxiliaries and carry out the dyeing. That is one of the way. And other method is dyeing at boil with carrier. Okay, same boiling temperature, you use the carrier. And then another is the HTHP method and another is the thermosol dyeing. So HTHP method already we have discussed, so I'm not speaking about it today. So what is the use of this carrier? See, normally the polyester dyeing is carried out at 130 degrees centigrade. Okay, so because why we use such a high temperature? Because you know polyester it's a thermoplastic fiber. Okay, see this fiber, it is not a natural, unlike you see cotton or wool or silk, it is or viscose rayon, it is not a natural fiber, it's a thermoplastic fiber. So these fibers have a characteristic called glass transition temperature. Okay, you just this example I gave you for a glass transition temperature. If you see at room temperature around say 30 to 40 degrees centigrade, polyester will be like a glass state. Okay, but when you heat it to temperature of say around 80 degrees, what will happen? It will just change in the morphology. It will start becoming into rubber form. Okay, at around 80 degrees centigrade. But when you increase the temperature to say around 260 degrees centigrade, it will completely melt and will become a solution. Okay, so if you, I will just put the temperature here. This is at 40 degree. Okay, and this is at 80 degrees, and this is at 130 degree. Sorry, not 130, it is 265 degree, where it completely melts. But we cannot carry out the temperature at 265 because 265 temperature polyester completely melts. Then what temperature we have to use? Temperature, the recommended dyeing temperature is 130 degrees centigrade, because at the temperature only the dye diffuses completely inside the fiber structure, so that all the whole structure gets completely dyed. Even at glass transition temperature is 80, but you perform dyeing at 130 degrees centigrade, because glass transition temperature, the transformation from glass to rubber phase takes place, because these fibers behave at room temperature, it will behave in a glassy state. At their glass transition temperature, they behave like a rubbery state, rubber form. It will be converted into rubber form. So in that stage itself, your color can penetrate, but the diffusion, better diffusion and leveling properties you will get only at the higher temperature of say 130 degrees centigrade. Okay, so carrying out what 130 degrees centigrade is the HTHP dyeing method, which we have discussed. But instead of using such a high temperature, can we use a less temperature, say 100 degrees centigrade, and carry out the dyeing and get the good color depth? Is it possible? That is the way, because of that idea, this carrier dyeing came. Okay, so instead of using the temperature, if a chemical do the job of a temperature, whether if the chemical instead of using such a 130 degrees centigrade, if the chemical act as a catalyst, say, so that can, instead of using high temperature at 100 degree only, because of the chemical, if it is possible to create the dye diffusion, that is the reason why we use the carrier. Okay, so carrier, it is what it does actually. Carrier, it's a chemical, when you add in the dye bath, that will reduce the TG of the polyester. Okay, it will swell the polyester. Okay, temperature, if you see what is the role of temperature, when the temperature of the process, if you increase in the dyeing, that will actually promote the dye diffusion. The pores present in the fiber structure will start opening, so that the dyes can diffuse inside. Okay, diffuse inside the structure. That will happen by the temperature increase. But instead of increasing the temperature, if the chemical itself could do the same job, whether if the chemical is able to swell the fiber structure and do the diffusion, then it is possible. Okay, that chemical is the carrier. Okay, so carrier, what it do is, when you add it in the dispersed dye bath, it will interfere with the dispersion pattern of the dye. Okay, it will create change in the fiber structure. It will actually swell the fiber. Okay, so that because of swelling, if the fiber gets swelled, what will happen? The pores will open, so that dyes can penetrate inside. Okay, so that instead of using 130 degrees centigrade, it is possible to do the same dyeing at 100 degree itself, boiling point of water. Okay, so what is that carrier? Chemically, what chemicals it contains? It contains a number of chemicals like hydrocarbons, phenols, amides, mostly phenolic compounds. If you see, the carriers are based on monochloro orthophenylphenol, diphenyl monomethyl naphthalene, halogenated benzene, methyl salicylic butyl benzoate. All these are the carriers. Okay, so normally the phenolic based compound is a very common one, which is used in the industrial practice. Okay, and these carriers are highly toxic. We will discuss about it later. So what happens when you add a carrier? When you add a carrier, what happens is it will swell the fiber. And another thing what it do is it increase the solubility of the dye in the bath. So dyes become more water soluble. Then loosening of fiber structure. Okay, the fiber by itself it is very compact. If you add the carrier, it will just loosen the fiber structure. It will just swell the fiber structure. Okay, and then what will happen? It will create the lubricity of the fiber molecule, because you see, because the fiber structure is so compact, which have a high friction, that carrier additioning that will make the structure a little looser, so that what will happen as you are using it's some oil which increase the lubrication. This chemical also increases the lubrication, so that what will happen, the dye molecule can easily penetrate and access the dye sites. Okay, so that in the longitudinal direction, fiber direction, this swelling take place. Okay, in the, you know about the longitudinal and transverse direction. Longitudinal direction, the swelling of the fibers take place. Okay, so what is the recipe for this dyeing? In the laboratory level we are discussing, you use the same disperse dye of say 1%, carrier of say 1 GPL, dispersing agent of say 1 GPL, acetic acid of say 2 GPL, MLR. It is MLR. It is 1:40, but it can be used anything. It is your wish, because MLR is the material to liquor ratio that decides the total volume of liquor. Okay, it can be 1:50, 1:30, or 1:20. Anything it can be. Okay, it is your convenience. pH should be 5.5 to 6.5, and that is done by the acetic acid. Okay, acetic acid, you know very well. Acetic acid, it actually here in this carrier dyeing, in the polyester dyeing, acetic acid is mandatory, because the pH 5.5 to 6.5. Why we are keeping? Because polyester is affected by the alkaline pH. Polyester is sensitive to alkali, but it is comfortable with the acid pH. Okay, so that is why we use a pH of say 5.5 to 6.5. Okay, and dispersing agent, you know very well what is the role of the dispersing agent. Okay, so here you know very well, dispersed dyes will it is basically, it is not cationic or anionic dye. It is a non-ionic type of a structure. Okay, dye structure, I'm speaking about the dye structure. So what you do in order to bring some charge, you actually, if you do not add dispersing agent, what will happen? Dye molecules will just aggregate in one place. It will form some clusters. Okay, that is not desirable. In order to promote the solubility and reduce the repulsion, okay, in order to create the repulsion between the dyes, so that then only dyes can uniformly disperse. It will uniformly just spread over the solution. Okay, so because of that, what we do is you just use a dispersing agent, so that dispersing agent will create some negative charges on its surface. Okay, so if one dispersed dye molecule contains negative charge on its surface, what will happen? There are multiple dye molecules are there that will create some repulsion among the individual dye particles. Okay, so why we do this? Because when you do this, what will happen? It will create a good dispersion. It will promote the solubility, so that it will prevent the agglomeration. These things are possible, becomes possible only when you add the dispersing agent. And nowadays, dispersing agents are not used actually in the industrial practice. If you see dispersing agent, they are not using it, because the dispersed dye itself have an inbuilt dispersing agent. Okay, when during the dye manufacturing itself, this dispersing agent is added, so that no need for using the dispersed dye. Directly you can tag the dispersed dye and use it, so that itself contains the dispersing agent. Okay, but for our practical purpose, in the available facilities, we are having these chemicals which we are I am explaining you these things. So we are adding the dispersing agent to promote the solubility and to aid the dispersion. And the carrier, I have already told you what is the use of the carrier. So all these things we are adding, and temperature is boiling temperature of water, that is 100 degrees centigrade boiling. Then time is 45 minutes. Then procedure is very simple. You prepare the dye bath with all the chemicals and dyes. and you start the dyeing at around 40 degrees centigrade, and slowly raise the temperature to say 80 degrees centigrade, and then from 80 you say raise it to say 100 degrees centigrade. You perform the dyeing for 45 minutes, and after that the dyeing process is over, but you have to do the after treatments. What are the after treatments? After treatments are you have to just to wash that fabric. Why? Because in the surface level there will be some unfixed dyes. Okay, so that unfixed dyes have to be removed. So for that you have to do some after treatments. Normally, if you see for the HTHP dyeing machine, HTHP dyeing process, what after treatments we perform? We perform the after treatments based on sodium hydroxide and sodium dithionate, which you may have seen in my previous discussion. So, but for this dyeing, we do not do that. Okay, so because here we are not using such a high temperature for the process, so obviously we will not get that much of a shade. That we will get only a very light shade only is possible to get from this process. So this process requires a mild after treatment. You are using an anionic or non-ionic detergent, which is like a soap. Along with that, you use a sodium carbonate. Okay, a mild alkali, or treating it so that the pH gets neutralized, and you remove any kind of a carrier. That is very important, because the carrier, we use carrier only for swelling the fiber during the polyester dyeing. After it is dyed, you do not want the carrier on the surface. Okay, because these carriers have certain problems associated with it, so that has to be removed from the fabric. Okay, in order to remove the carrier and also the unfixed dyes, you do this after treatment. Okay, so if you just observe this dyeing cycle, you can see if you do not add the carrier, what will happen. If you add the carrier, what will happen, that you can see here. I have told you already, the glass transition temperature of polyester is 80 degrees centigrade. So without, if you are adding a carrier at 80 degrees centigrade, what is the dye uptake? With the increase in the time, dye uptake is increasing for all the 4 cases. But you see the dye uptake percentage, if you just compare it with without carrier and with carrier, you can understand the difference, how much dye uptake is increasing when you add the carrier. Okay, this two you have to compare. This is for without carrier at 80, with carrier, this double dot, this two, this one and this one. Okay, so after adding the carrier, you can see how much dye uptake has increased, percentage has increased when you compare with the here. Okay, let us say it is the 0, 10, 20. This will be around say 20, and this will be around say 60%. Okay, so you can see and appreciate the use of carrier. Why? After using the carrier, how much improvement it is there in the glass transition temperature of polyester itself, the dyeing is happening. But when you do at high 100 degrees centigrade, this is the without carrier at 100 degrees centigrade, this is one of the process where to compare to show the effect of carrier. Okay, this one without carrier at 100 degrees centigrade, after you do the dyeing with the carrier, you can see how much increase in the dye uptake. Okay, so this is the use of the carrier. Okay, the increase in the dye uptake. So coming down to advantages of this method, what is the advantage? Advantage is that you can use a less temperature in the normal atmospheric temperature, like a boiling temperature of water you can use, and normal pressure you can carry out the experiment. You do not require a high pressure machine. Next is lower dyeing time can be used. You do not need to use for 1.5 hours. With 45 minutes itself, you can finish the dyeing, and it will improve the dye uptake that we have seen. If you add carrier or do not add the carrier, you can make a comparison which is better. Carrier helps. And for example, if you're using dyeing the blended fabric, for example, if you're using a polyester wool blend, okay, for example, if a blend contains 66% polyester, 34% wool, so that what will happen, the dyes whichever you are using for both polyester and wool, both are different, so it may create some staining. So in that case, the carriers when you are using that will reduce the staining, that you will come to know when you do the polyester wool dyeing, blend dyeing. So these are the advantages, but disadvantages are also there. Main disadvantages: these carriers are toxic, it is poisonous, and they are unhygienic in nature. Okay, if for example, if you have not done the after treatments of this polyester dyed fabric to remove the carrier, to remove the lost trace of carrier, what will happen? It will create some skin irritation. Okay, so that is a big drawback of this carrier, using the carrier. And next is that use of carrier in dyeing adds to the extra cost. Apart from the cost of say dyeing and dispersing agent and acetic acid, you have to spend money for this also. That adds to the extra cost. And importantly, carriers alters the light fastness of the dyes. Okay, so this is a very important disadvantage, because what will happen is these phenols, whatever the carriers chemical contains, these phenols, everything that can actually affect the light fastness. Okay, so what will happen if the surface contains some carrier present, leftover traces are there, that is exposed to sunlight. When the fabric is exposed to sunlight, that color will get degraded. Okay, that color will get faded because of the presence of the carrier, traces of carrier. Okay, because these carriers can destroy some chromophores. They can just remove some chromophores during the light exposure. Okay, so that is one of the important drawback. And another important drawback is some carriers have bad odor. If you take the carrier and just smell it, you may feel some fishy smell will be there. Some sort of an objectionable smell will be there in the carrier. So that is not good. And another disadvantage is some carriers are dye specific. For example, if you are using a particular dye for HTHP method, the same dye you cannot use for the carrier dye method. Okay, so for the dye specificity is very important, because you cannot use all the dyes. If it is dispersed dye, you cannot use all the dyes for all the dyeing methods. For thermosol method, if you are using one particular dye, you cannot use it for the HTHP method. Okay, so like this carrier dyeing also, it is specific to the specific dyes, not for all the dyes. Even if it is a dispersed dye, it is not specific. As I have explained you in the last lecture, classification. So there are different classes like A, B, C, D, E. So it is it will exhibit the difference in the dyeing. Okay, and another disadvantage with the carrier dyeing method is you cannot produce the rich colors like bright shades or deep shades which you get normally in the HTHP method. You cannot produce. Okay, so that is another disadvantage. So that's all about the carrier dyeing method. I have already performed this experiment in the laboratory, and I will share today some videos of what and the fabrics. The same dye I have used, as you have seen in my previous yesterday's HTHP, whatever dye used, the same dye I have used just for your same depth, 1% and 3% I have dyed to show you, so that you can understand the difference between carrier and the HTHP method. Okay, so I will share you the fabrics photographs and videos of that, also the practical demonstration, so that you can understand. And that's all about the carrier dyeing. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Did you watch the yesterday's videos what I have come sent? Did you watch? Yes, students. Yes, students. Did you watch videos? Did you understand this? Okay. Only one student has responded. What about others? Did you understand this practicals?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So fine then. So do you have any doubts in the today's lecture? Do you have any doubts? I will share the carrier dyeing videos to you. You just watch the carrier dyeing videos, and I will share you the manual also to write it in the journal, whatever you write. I will send you that also. If you have any doubts or you require any help from additional, if you expect additional help from this practical from my side, if you have anything to say, you can say that also. You're welcome to tell. Anything to tell, or shall we stop here? Yes, shall we stop here for today? Okay, fine. I'm stopping here for today. I'm sharing other videos on this thing so that you can write the journal and also watch the videos. And if you have any doubt, if you hesitate to ask here in this group, you can personally message me also, or to call me anytime, and I will clear you doubt. Okay. Thanks for listening. Have a nice day.